This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
I think we should do a supercut of all the intros we messed up, because we messed up about 4 or 5. But today we have a boatload of topics that we're excited to talk about for you on the Fast Break today. We're going to be talking about the Wizards' openness to trading Bradley Beal and John Wall, the future of Markelle Fultz with the 76ers, a lot of stuff coming out with his agent and lawyers and tests being done to his shoulders and seeing if he's able to shoot, so we'll talk about all that stuff. We'll be talking about our Wet Boys. We got some returnees. We also have a new face making his first ever Wet Boy appearance from this year and last year, and then we'll wrap it up with more NBA draft talk, the third head of the Duke three-headed trio, and we'll talk about Cam Reddish and if he's being overshadowed on that team. Obviously, they just lost to Gonzaga. Am I saying that right? And we got yelled at before.
I think it's Gonzaga. Or
Gonzaga?
No, I think it's
the Zags.
I think it's Gonzaga. Yeah, Gonzaga, I think.
The team from Seattle, Washington that is named the Bulldogs. Mark Few's Bulldogs.
I almost said Mark Fine.
But anyways, we'll be talking about all that. If you do like the Fast Break Podcast, you're a loyal listener or a first-time listener, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes or just any review. If you think we suck, if you think these sound like dudes doing this in their mom's basement, which I think was our first ever iTunes review, leave it on iTunes. Let us know what we can improve. Let us know what you like, what you dislike. We appreciate that feedback, and we like seeing people take the time and helping us out. We greatly appreciate that, and if you do have the time, please check that out. But boys, let's jump into the mess that was Washington on Monday. Story on ESPN came out from Woj, Wizards signaling a willingness to consider trade overtures on entire rosters, including All-Star guards John Wall and Bradley Beal, and then probably, I think, about 3 hours later, story filed at ESPN, the Wizards fined All-Star John Wall for unloading a verbal barrage on coach Scott Brooks in a recent practice after Wall and his teammates have been challenged to raise intensity in that season. Wall fired back with, "Fuck you," to Scott Brooks. Story soon. So a lot of drama happening out in Washington. Seems like it's settled a little bit. Not much has been coming out from Washington since then. But what do you think is going on in the state's capital? What do you think is the possibility of both Beal and Wall being traded this year?
I mean, with me personally, the kind of, I want to say the conundrum going on in my head was I'm kind of angry at myself because it was like, last year, 2 years ago, I'm like, Wizards aren't making the playoffs. These two are going to blow up. It ain't going to work. And then I was like, I'm wrong. This team's a playoff team. They were last year. And I'm sitting there going, I should have yet again this year said, nope, the Wizards are not going to make the playoffs. And this is what many of us, or I'm going to say maybe a good majority of us, knew was going to happen, that these two eventually were going to blow up and that the Wizards were going to have to blow everything up and just start from step zero.
Yeah, right now they're 6-2. 6-12, my bad. 6-12. They did respond after that story coming out and beat the now number 1 seed in the Los Angeles Clippers, 125-118. But then they followed that up with a loss on Friday against Toronto, 125-107. Dave, what do you think about the possibility of both these guys leaving, and what do you think has really led to this? Do you think it's just obviously the poor performance on the court, or do you think finally the two alphas got to each other?
I think it's a lot to do with performance on the court, kind of burning things up. Because, look, you can get along as long as you're winning, as long as things are going good. It's a whole lot easier to smooth those edges out. But, I mean, the struggles out the gate this year have not helped. And adding in, the locker room sweethearts like Austin Rivers and Dwight Howard, not really helping out. I think the biggest problem comes from, obviously, their coach and Scotty Brooks. Like, the man literally was walked out of town from OKC because, obviously, he did not make Kevin Durant and Westbrook work together. Like, just couldn't. He didn't have the talent to do it. I don't know why they thought he'd be a great fit. Like, he just failed to gain 2 young superstars to be friendly and get things done on the court. So let's bring him here for John Wall and Bradley Beal. Seems like a great idea. Like, that's just horrible decision making up top. Mm-hmm. But no, I think that it's not super likely that both are gone by the end of their contracts. I think John Wall's contract is so disgustingly huge that there's only a handful of teams in the league who would go out and pay for that and be happy. Well, I don't know if they'd be happy, but they'd go out and want him. Bradley Beal, any team wants. Like, that's the thing. He's just the guy who's more movable. But if I'm the Wizards, I'm saying he's the guy I want to build around because he's a young shooter, excellent defender, and still 25, 26. Like he's exactly what you want to build around. So I don't know. It's a problem. The guy you want to keep is the guy everybody's going to actually pay you for. So what do they do?
Well, the thing is that if you were just looking at this year, Wall might be more valuable because you look at, he's only making 19.1 this year.
Yeah.
And you look at Bradley Beal, he's got 2 more years of, 25 and 27 and 28. But it's the thing that kills you is that upcoming contract extension for John Wall, where he's making 37 next year, he's making 40, 43, and then he's got a player option that I'd be shocked if he turns down of $46.8 million. Absolutely insane money to go to John Wall. And, I mean, that's not starting until next year. So I would be absolutely shocked if both are traded for that sole fact, just because they're open to trading John Wall. I think it's just more of a thing that everyone's on the table.
And that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, and
it sends a message out there, at least.
I think the likelihood of John Wall being traded is very slim to none, probably 20% or lower.
Yeah.
But Bradley Beal being out on the table, it's like you mentioned, he's young, only 25 years old, great shooter, great defender at that 2-guard position, top 10 player at his position without a doubt. I think we put him at 6th in our preseason ranking. That's probably only moving up as well. He's been fantastic. The likelihood of him being traded is probably 80% to 100% because the fact that, he's on the table, they're not going to be winning. And if they keep losing, there's no reason to keep him around because his value is never going to be higher because now not only are you getting him for this year, but that contract doesn't look bad at all. I mean, paying a guy that much for you paying a guy like that and having him locked up for 3 years is really good for your team because he's not going to get any worse. He's going to be in his prime when he gets out of that contract at 28 years old. And he's going to be a guy that just continues to grow and gets better. So looking at this, answering the question of will they trade both of them, I would say no, because I don't think you're moving John Wall this year in any way, shape, or form. Because what team would want to take on those next 5 years of, obviously this year, then the 4 that are upcoming on that contract extension? I don't see that being plausible.
I mean, really, to me, because I love these because I just work with the trade machine and such.
Yeah, people love when you do that.
I've got 2 with John Wall. And this is, I'm going to say for someone who's just coming in and never listened to a fast break, you guys put the picks wherever you want. I'm going to tell you how the salaries work and what players can go where. I got 2 of them. One's a 2-team trade.
How the salaries work. You're using a ESPN computer machine that anyone can use.
It matches out, kind of. It's in the ballpark.
Yeah, but you don't know. You're just making no. If it comes up green, you're like, it works.
Exactly.
That's all you're doing.
But there's always contract
Ricky is
troubles.
not like a genius when it comes to cap salaries.
It could be good or bad. But here's the first one. The first one has to do with just the Wizards and the Spurs. The Wizards would get Patty Mills, Paul Gasol, and the Spurs get John Wall and Austin Rivers. Whereas the second one's a 3-team deal. It's the Wizards, the Pacers, the Cavs. Wizards get Thaddeus Young and Darren Collison, 2 contracts that are done at the end of the year. The Pacers get John Wall and Kyle Korver, and then the Cavaliers will get Corey Joseph and Kelly Oubre.
So Washington's clearing cap room, basically.
Washington is clearing cap to basically they're taking on the big contracts from the Pacers,
but they're
done at the end of the year, and the Cavaliers are. This is where the picks would have to come in because the Cavaliers need to be added to this to get it to work. Because if the Pacers, and I'm trying to look at teams that could need John Wall, the Pacers could need him because you could pair John Wall with Vic, and also the Spurs could need him because you can pair John Wall with LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
So that's why those are 2 of the first teams, but it's really what team could use a point guard. And then the second part, who would want to go and trade for him?
It's not even which team needs a point guard because it's which team has the ability to take on that much capital. Because you're going to be paying a 32-year-old point guard who relies a lot on his athletic ability and has not been the healthiest guy in the world throughout his career, and going to be paying him $47 million in his 32-year-old season. That's just not. It's ridiculous and unfathomable to think about because that's going to be the highest that we can think of right now. I think that's the highest on the table for any player. As
far as I know, yes.
I don't think there's any higher. Maybe who's just signed to maybe Russ has a higher one.
I'll
with his
Russ.
Supermax, but it's tough to figure out anyone who's going to be making that much money, and I don't think anyone could really plan for that in the future. And again, like John Wall, it's going to be easy to take on his contract now, but when you get to that 32-year-old season, it's going to be tough to add any players because you're paying one guy $47 million. So that's why I think it's so tough to trade a guy like John Wall. And it really makes it
trade for a guy like John
trade
Wall.
for a guy like John Wall. It would even trade him in general if you're the Washington Wizards because you're talking about trading an all-star and just getting rid of salary. you're not even getting any assets. You're you're getting Thad Young. You're getting
picks.
Garbage contracts. Because
you're giving up Kelly Oubre basically, and the Cavs are walking away with Kyle Korver for Kelly Oubre. Like, of course I would take that deal.
Even then, like if you're the Wizards, like you might even need to give up picks because Dave. If you're
that contract's bad, but I would not give up a pick.
No, I'm not saying, but like
to move
a second rounder. I'm not saying like a first rounder, but I'm just saying like you might even need to sweeten the deal. That's how bad that contract can get. Because yes, he is a top 10 point guard in the league. I think we had him around 6 or 7. But he's not that next level guy. Like game changer, like a Steph Curry is, like a Russ or a James Harden is. Like he's not on that upper tier. He is in the class
right behind them. He is in the Kyrie Irving, John Wall class. Like it's literally those two guys at the next tier. And I totally think that he is. I mean, we talk about like old playoff series where he literally gives it everything he's got until that last game where he literally was just chucking for the sake of I've got to win this game out of pure willpower right now. And he didn't do it, but like. He was just drained from playing every minute possible.
But also even like Dame's in that tier as well. I know some people will get upset if we don't throw him up there.
No, that's fine. I just don't think that you like if those are the deals on the table for them. If you're not walking away with like if I'm moving John Wall, I'm expecting either a young prospect from the last 2 draft classes or a draft pick back.
Does it have to be a high pick, or is it just a pick? And like with a prospect, does it have to be a high pick as well, or just a guy you like?
I think a guy you like. I mean, shit. I've been reading through like 18 Reddit threads about people who, what about this deal for him? What about this deal? And like the whole joke about moving Sabonis in a package off the Pacers, working off what Ricky said, and like Sabonis is playing fantastic right now. A lot of teams like him. Is he anywhere near the talent level of John Wall? No. So you're going to do Sabonis plus something for John Wall. Like, that's... Obviously, you need to make the contracts work, so maybe it's Thad Young, but you're still throwing a pick in there.
Even then, I would feel like if I'm the Pacers, like, you're giving up Sabonis for a guy that's going to handcuff your team when it comes down to the later years of his career.
But you already have Victor Oladipo under contract.
But does John Wall and Victor Oladipo make you a team that's even, going to the NBA Finals, let alone competing against the Western Conference?
I think you compete in the East. I don't know if...
For like maybe a year or two. But when you start getting up into that $40 million a year, it's severely taking away your cap room. And I think it's probably going to end up being like 1/3 or 1/4 of your cap going to one player.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is we don't know what TV deals will do to the salary cap in the NBA. Like... This could all be made like ridiculous if in the next by 4 years down the line we're talking new deal and we're talking players are average players are going to get $20 million a year. We're going to make those contracts for like Jan Mahimi look like that's the new normal is like 18, 19 million a year. Right now it's at like 12 million a year. That 10 to 12 range is like that's an average NBA player. Like I don't think that we're going to hit 50 million. Superstar, I think 50 million superstar is totally going to be normal. I 100% think that. So, I don't know.
But here's the thing is like, when you're looking at, like, even if it's the new normal for a superstar, like, we still overvalue some of these guys. I mean, we saw Bismack Biyombo get 4 years, $72 million off of potential alone. Like, even though there's money to throw out there. No, but, like, I mean, when there's money to throw out there, we just think we can throw it to anybody or, like, the best players on our team, and we're not actually valuing them as superstars.
Right.
Because these guys think they're all on the same level.
Of course.
So, like, a Dame Lillard will ask for max money, and a team like Portland wants to keep him around because he's going to drive up ticket sales, and he's going to make the same money as Steph Curry.
Right.
So, like, but clearly, if you had an unlimited amount of bank, and you needed to persuade these guys, Steph Curry's going to end up making more money over Damian Lillard. And I just bring up the question of, like, what players are worth even $47 million for 1 year? It's probably KD. It's probably LeBron. Maybe AD. Maybe Steph. But, I mean, even with Steph's injury concerns, I don't know if I want to give him $47 million. John Wall's not even close to that, like, probably even, like, top 15 of players I want to give $47 million to.
No.
And you're going to be giving him $47 million when he's 32. And maybe the cap room expanding in 5 years when, that he's going to be making that much money, will help it and make it a little bit easier. But it's still $47 million.
Yeah,
and that could go to
portion.
That could make up, 3 role players right there that can, fill up your starting lineup and could be, 3 great guys that, could be a rim running center, be a great 3-and-D player like a Robert Covington, and be a stretch 4 that's very necessity.
That's a necessity.
Necessity to a team.
Yeah.
But I just think that making a deal for John Wall now is going to be tough, and especially going to be even tougher, when you get even closer into that contract extension.
The problem with him isn't so much, in my mind, it's twofold, because it's a contract and it's his attitude. Like, if you get a coach that can work with him, I think the attitude goes away. The problem is he hasn't had a coach he's got along with. So you just run into John Wall acting like, a diva out there from everybody covering the team. It's John Wall's attitude, it's cancer in the locker room. Like, people like Kelly Oubre and Austin Rivers even coming in town being like, yeah, I don't know how this locker room is like a thing right now, because it's just, if people had to put up with that shit for long term, like, Jesus. So I think that if you can solve the attitude problem with him, like, I'm fine with using John Wall as your guy on the team moving forward. Like, look, he's still talented, he's still putting up great numbers, he's still like an all-star in the East. So the thing you have to do is get the value out of Bradley Beal or get something out of Otto Porter's horrible, like, poison pill contract. I mean, like, Kelly Oubre is like the guy with the best deal right now because he's on his last year of his rookie. So, like, if there's a team out there, he's a sweetener for anything. So if you want John Wall and you're not going to get equal value back, maybe you toss in a piece like him because you're going to have to pay him a shit ton of money now. And for minutes that, he's likely splitting anyway right now in Washington. So, like, you've got pieces to move. Like, Washington as a team has pieces to move, but it's just, Jesus.
And that's why we come up to when Ricky throws out those trade deals. It's not really, like a big piece going back to Washington. It's just a salary cap to free up this salary. I mean,
I'll give you this one that I just worked out, and you can work at Bradley Beal or John Wall. But like Dave said, that coach that John Wall hasn't had to work with, my first thought was Eric Spoelstra. What if the Heat works something out where it's, I've got one here that technically works, picks would have to be included such. John Wall of the Heat, Goran Dragic, and Bam going to the Wizards. Otherwise, it's Bradley Beal, and then you got Dragic, Bam, and maybe a Winslow.
I think the
going
Wizards
to the
get screwed there. Like, I think the Heat get screwed there because again, you're helping the Wizards do exactly what they want. A lot of these deals that I'm seeing are just cap dumps so they get John Wall's contract off. I mean, he's not even into this contract extension, and he's not worth the money already. And he's not going to be worth that money when he gets older and gets more mileage on his legs. Like, even giving up Bam, I think, like, he's not going to be a guy that's ever going to be a top 10 center. He can be a really good starting center, but I don't see him being that high of an upside. But, I think Dragic and Bam might help you get other pieces that might last you longer or get pieces that, again, might turn into something. I mean, those guys were being floated out for, like, Jimmy Butler, and I'd rather have Jimmy Butler, who's going to be on a normal, max contract compared to this super max that John Wall is getting. So I think this contract's absolutely just, horrible. In comparing it to every other contract in the NBA and just comparing it to the fact that it hasn't started and it's already a bad contract, and they're already trying to get him off the books. It's a bad sign, and I don't think a deal's going to happen. But let's move to the one that I think is movable, because Bradley Beal is a guy that is extremely valuable on this contract.
I was going to throw to you. I want to ask you this question. You say Bradley Beal, the more movable one. What team do you think is right away picking up the phone and saying, we need to get Bradley Beal?
I think all 29 teams should be doing that.
But what's your one team?
I think, Charlotte's a team that comes to mind because
they're playing way too well.
They're playing way too well, and I think you need to help sustain that. And Kemba's being, he's shooting like Steph Curry right now. He's taking a ton of threes, making a ton of threes as well, leading the league in attempts from 3-point and 3-pointers made. Yeah. You look at that team. Providing more offense and providing that punch is just going to help them. And they do have pieces they can move, like Malik Monk, who's really still not being used too much. They have Miles Bridges, so having that future superstar that they can build is right there in the wings in Miles Bridges. So Monk is still a young piece that can be moved and might need a fresh change of scenario. And you can also give them money going back that's going to help the Hornets now and also help the Wizards, because you might be taking on more money now, but also you're going to be getting rid of money sooner. So I think the Hornets are one of them. I think that would probably be my number one team. But also I like the Jazz a lot. They need a spark on offense, and adding Bradley Beal is going to help their defense. And also, obviously go to, help them get like a number 1 or at least a number 2 scorer behind Donovan Mitchell. I like the Nuggets as always. Shockingly,
They've got
I like them.
a ton of young assets.
Philly is a team that's interesting as well, and then another team. And then Utah was the other team I worked out for. It was Ricky Rubio, Thabo Cephalosha, and Grayson Allen going over to Utah. As well, you look at Hornets, it would probably be like a Nick Batum or
he's just
Williams.
The ultimate contract.
Yeah, Nick Batum, Marvin Williams, a first-round pick, and then Malik Monk would be the deal for that. Because you're giving them a young player to go off of.
A young player, a mid to high first-round pick. So, yeah.
And then, with the 76ers, you'd have Oubre in that deal, Bradley Beal, and then like Wilson Chandler, Fultz, and Mike Muscala going over. Or maybe even not even Oubre, but to at least balance out those contracts.
Yeah, no, that's a toughie because the value of Fultz, and we'll get to this obviously later on, but like that's so in the air right now. Nobody knows. But no, I mean, you nailed the teams as far as that's concerned. Like, I think the Sixers, if they're really trying to strike gold and they want to get those 4 max contracts, like now's the time to do it. Could be fun. The Hornets one, I love it because if you can land someone like Bradley Beal on that team next to Kemba, that almost guarantees Kemba's re-signing there. Like Kemba wants to be there.
Then you don't have to worry about trading him.
Right. It's more of the fact that like your team's doing really well, lean into it, double down, and get him a second piece, a true second piece, because like right now, you're getting contributions across the board, but like that's not going to last season long. That's not going to last in the playoffs. So you need to make a move like that happen.
Well, and it solidifies the second guy. Like,
it does,
right now it's Kemba and then whoever's on that next night.
Yeah.
Where Bradley Beal
Tony
can
Parker
be a
is
consistent
making that
number 2.
bench fucking work, and that I undervalued that pickup. That's gold, absolute gold.
And I think one thing too with Kemba is right now he's 28. Yep. Bradley Beal's 25. Bridges is 20, I think, on the dot. I think he's 20.
You're right. He was a sophomore, but he was young.
He was a sophomore.
Yeah.
So he's either 20, 21.
Yep.
But really, if Kemba does resign for 5 years, that will put him at 33. It'll put Bradley Beal at 30. Then it'll put Miles Bridges at 30 or just 25. Yeah. And then even then, if Bradley Beal even signs again, that will put him at 33 and then 30 for Miles Bridges. So at least it will keep together.
You can potentially,
and it will keep long-term success. And that's really why I like that Hornets deal. Yeah. Giving up a guy like Malik Monk, who was 10th overall, 11th overall, when he was drafted, it might be a big thing, but
one before Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, you need to have the Wizards want to take on that deal outside of just freeing up cap space in like 2 years with a Batum or Williams contract. And even if you give up a first-round pick, it's not going to be that great of a pick because Hornets are making that move to make the playoffs and solidify a playoff appearance, and that's going to be outside the lottery.
Well, and the one that here's another thing with talking about trades this early is kind of like what you said before we were recording. I can't remember what we were talking about, but you and Dave were talking about something. You said we're 15 games into this. Like, we are so early still into the season. We're like, I look at a team like the Jazz. How are you a team that's 8-11 right now, and the only team below you in the West is the Phoenix Suns? But then I look at it and go, yeah, but 2.5 games, they're back in the playoffs. And it's like, we're that early to where
we're a quarter into the season, people.
Should we be freaking
no early?
Like, should we be freaking out that team? Because like, I look at the Jazz and they're another team I've been playing with the machine with, trying to be like, how could they make a deal for Bradley Beal? Because they're a team that we expected to be in the playoff hunt, and right now, quarter of the way through, they're out of it. They're the first to last worst team in the West, technically.
I mean, no one's out of it. Like, that's that's a thing in the West. Like, everybody's so close. Like, even Phoenix still has a chance. Come on. No, I just think that there are so many teams. You're right. There are 29 other teams in the NBA who want to have Bradley Beal on it. Like, without a doubt. My problem is I just keep going back to the value-wise for a 25-year-old all-star, like, is going to be
with 3 years.
With 3 years still under contract. So, like, it's incredibly high. I don't know that you're going to get equal value from anybody, but also you've got all these teams, like, kind of, setting themselves up for this free agency class.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is, like, I look at a team like the Clippers with lots of pieces to move. They're currently in first place in the West today. Like, I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on anything, but they've got enough pieces that they could, move over to Washington to make that deal work. I look at a team like the Pistons who, like, we've obviously been up and down on them because of their play, but, like, they would love to have an outside shooter or a true point guard. Either or. They take either or. Move Reggie and move pieces and future picks. Like, there's just too many teams.
Well, and the other thing, too, is, I mean, you even look at, you threw me off when you bring up the Pistons. The Lakers. Going into that free agency idea, putting a guy like Bradley Beal next to LeBron James is just going to improve that team.
It seems like a great answer.
And they have, young talent like LeBron or like Lonzo, like Brandon Ingram. But you don't want to handcuff yourself to a 3-year deal when you could possibly bring in a guy like Kevin Durant or Anthony Davis.
Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis next
year.
You
don't want to take away that ability to bring in those guys in free agency, and that's why I don't think the Lakers are even thinking about that, even though I think they probably should.
And I hate when I see the Lakers could trade any two of Ball, Ingram, and Kuzma. It's like, don't. Like, LeBron,
the Anthony
Magic,
Davis trades are hilarious.
They know that this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Like, they're not expecting to win the whole thing this year, so I don't expect them to even make a move. And then, like, a team that you didn't mention, like the Knicks, they're a team that could, hey, if we got a Bradley Beal, some would think, hey, that's something that you can maybe use to bring someone in. But they want Kevin Durant so bad, they're not going to shake things up that much by bringing in a John Wall, by bringing in a Bradley Beal. The one team I'm sitting there thinking, is this an overreaction or do they need to make a move on one of these guys? Probably Bradley Beal. Does Boston need to make a move? Or is it that we're sitting here, Boston, 6th in the East right now, and we're just overreacting that they're not one of the top 2 teams in the East?
Well, they literally can't shoot.
But also, I mean, they're playing stupidly great defense.
They are.
So I think this is a team that you ride it out with and you wait, 18 more games because Gordon Hayward's still coming off one of the worst injuries we've seen on an NBA floor in a while. An ugly thing, and it's going to take a while for him to bounce back. And also, he hasn't played with these guys too much. Jason Tatum isn't the same player that he was last year. He's still growing to a new role and adjusting to that. Kyrie Irving has been playing well, but again, he's adjusting to everybody on the floor. Terry Rozier isn't playing the same way he's normally willing to because again, his role is decreased. And I think that's going to be more on Brad Stevens to adjust the team that he has because this team's still talented, and we still think they're a top 4 team, and a top 3 team for sure in the East. Obviously, the move for Butler is important. The way the Raptors and Bucks have been playing kind of stunt that. But still, talent-wise, Boston's probably the most talented team in the East, and I don't think trading Bradley Beal will really help it because their problem is I think they're not really working these guys in, and then changing it up again is just going to make it harder for this to really sink in. Now, would Bradley Beal help them in the long run? Of course, but I think it'd be
even in the short term, they've got too many bodies. They've got too many good, not great players. And because they do that, their rotations are also short. It doesn't get them enough play time to actually hit their groove. And when they're in their groove, guess what? They're getting subbed back out again. So it's like it is more valuable for them to have a Bradley Beal on the team than have a Jaylen Brown and another player all splitting the minutes. It would have gone to Beal. Like, that's my thing is you take away like a good asset in Brown, you take away another good asset, and then like a cap filler piece, and then you move that for Bradley Beal. And yes, you're taking guys out of that super deep rotation, but guess what? Nobody gives a shit about super deep rotations in the playoffs because everybody's playing 40 minutes. Like that argument never makes sense to me. That's why it's like we all fall in love with the Raptors every year for the last 3 years because look how deep they are as a team. And it's like nobody cares because in the playoffs, like every team plays their guys 40 minutes a night. Like it's like Minnesota everywhere, It doesn't make sense to me to overvalue this gluttony of young talent on the Celtics when you can go out and get someone who will soak up their minutes and play better than them anyway.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a value trade.
I think, though, again, what value are you giving up, and is it
Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal are already best friends, so like you want to put them together.
Is it necessary for them to give up that value?
Is it necessary? No, but do you think? I think in the long run, it would be the best move for them as a team because the way their contracts work out right now, like they've got to re-sign Kyrie this offseason. They're stuck with Gordon Hayward's awful contract. It looks awful because he's still hurt, or he's still recovering from that horrible injury. But like you're going to dish out some money coming up.
And just resign Marcus Smart.
Yeah,
they're going to have to worry about
deal.
Jaylen Brown. They're going to have to worry about Jason Tatum when their deals.
You got a couple years on that at least. So that's the thing. It's like you want to separate it out, and if you bring in Beal, like I think it's the perfect timing. I absolutely think now is the time to do it. Now's the time to strike because he sets you up to compete. Like he gets you back on track. Let me put it that way. This team, if they're worried about their early struggles, that's their problem solver.
Well, then if he does come over, and we don't need to throw out a trade exactly.
It's going to be centered around Brown in my mind, but yeah.
But if they do make that trade, and what do you think the starting lineup would look like? If it's centered around Jaylen Brown, what do you think the starting lineup would look like? It would be Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and then Al Horford?
I don't know. Horford just is... Or not Horford. Fucking... Hayward is just not looked like he's had it. Like,
but are you going to put him on the bench? And who are you going to sub in?
He's been playing off the bench.
Well, who are you... But who... I mean, like, you're talking... I'm talking about, like...
Morris has been fantastic.
No, but I'm talking about, like in an idealistic, when he's healthy, you're not putting Gordon Hayward on the bench when you're paying him that much money.
And if he's putting up 24 and 4 again, sure, he's going to start for me.
He's not going to put up 24 and 4 because he doesn't have enough shots to put up 24 and 4.
I'm just saying.
But again, like when they're all healthy, is that what you're
that's exactly what it would be.
So if they're all healthy, do you think that's enough to take down the Warriors if the Warriors are also healthy as well?
I mean, I don't know what stops Steph Curry, but right now this is the most vulnerable. Yeah, this is the most vulnerable that Warriors team's looked in years. So I would say yes. That's probably the best lineup that I could see out there to beat the Warriors because you have an all-star in Kyrie Irving, you have an all-star in Bradley Beal, you have an all-star in Gordon Hayward, like you have, and Horford years ago. You know, I just think
last year.
Literally, it feels like years ago. He feels like such an old man. I know he's not, but the point is, yes, that lineup could absolutely do it. They got more depth still. I mean, but it's just the problem of like you have to counter, A+ talent with A+ talent. You can't say you got 4 all-stars on your team or 5 with Boogie versus our 10 deep. It's like, well, those 5 are going to play all the minutes, so they're going to beat your your B+ player. Sorry.
And I mean, for Boston too, I almost think about it. Of course, Jason Tatum would start, but almost with Bradley Beal being on that team, I wonder if what could be a good thing is, hey, Tatum, you start. But then we kind of work it into where when the Hayward, Beal, and Kyrie are not on the court, that Tatum can be out there to run the second unit like he did last year when those 2 guys were injured. Maybe have a little bit of familiarity to last year as well, but you would also have him start because you're not going to bench JT.
Keep the ball out of his hands.
Well, you were bringing this up, like you said, centered around Jaylen Brown.
Right.
But, I mean, you were also saying off camera that you do Robert Williams and Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal right now.
100%.
And I think you're absolutely insane for that.
I think everybody thinks that Jason Tatum's going to be the next coming of Jesus, but or T-Mac or Michael Jordan. He's not. Like, y'all need to get over it. The fact he had an amazing postseason.
You went from T-Mac to Michael Jordan.
Well, T-Mac as far as his physical. So, T-Mac was insane. And, like, if
I'm
he had been
there's
healthy,
a couple guys between T-Mac and Michael Jordan.
But it seems like you're already giving up on him.
Like, T-Mac's was insane.
Yeah.
It already seems like you're giving up on him.
I'm not giving up on him. I'm not crowning his ass. Like, there's a difference between saying he's a superstar at 20, which he is fucking not, and you fucking Boston fans need to get over yourselves. Like, he's a very good player.
It's not even Boston fans. It's everybody.
No, it's Boston fans. They're just that loud.
I said it's everybody. Everybody thinks he's that good. I think that if you're giving up Bradley Beal, and if you're getting Bradley Beal and you're giving up Jason Tatum, I think you're losing that trade in the long run. Because Jason Tatum is going to...
The question is in the long run. In the meantime, you're going to win a championship.
Are you, though? Because,
I don't know.
Jason, you're probably getting rid of your 3rd best player then. If Bradley Beal's on that team, it'd probably Irving, Bradley Beal, then Jason Tatum.
Al Horford.
You're putting Horford above Tatum?
Right now, he's not playing so hot, but he's still a better player.
I disagree with that. I think that Tatum has more ability to take over a game and dominate it.
Yeah, he does, but that's not what constitutes a better player. Well, like you're picking little points of what entails an entire player,
and I think you're overlooking potential altogether.
Look, I'm not jerking off and playing 2K right now. Like that game is all about potential. That's the game where you go trade your entire team for draft picks and you win a championship in 2 minutes. Like that's not what the NBA is. There's a reason why the Phoenix Suns are dead last. Like, you can't just take great picks. They have amazing coaching in Boston.
Yeah, but they're making bad picks. They have one good player in Devin Booker. And DeAndre
and Bridges.
Well. I'm talking...
And TJ Warren.
Is he a great player?
He's putting up 23 and like 7 right now.
Team's not
He's
doing
shooting
anything.
Incredibly well.
He's
a better player than fucking... I'll say
Get the fuck out of here.
Tatum is.
No, he's not.
Up to this point in this year, if you encapsulate these 18 games, who's a better player?
It's
TJ
18
Warren.
games.
TJ Warren.
Okay, last year, Bobby Portis was a better player than DeMarcus Cousins for an 18-game stretch. Like,
The 18 games he wasn't playing because he was hurt, or what?
I was
DeMarcus
being
Cousins beat the shit
facetious.
out
I
of
mean,
him.
18-game stretch is such a small.
It's 1/4 of the season, roughly. I mean, it's an 82-game season, so we're talking just under a quarter. Yeah, just under a quarter of the season.
It's a quarter. Like,
I know, but like you have to respect the fact that up to this point in time, I feel like everybody wants Jason Tatum to be that guy, and he came out the gates this year taking terrible shots, holding the ball too long, and just not playing team basketball, which is the Brad Stevens way. So like, yes, he's starting to play better now, which is awesome. Their defense has been incredible, yes, but is he as good as Bradley Beal is today? No. Is Bradley Beal going to be better than him for the next 3 years? Probably. Is Jason Tatum going to be better than him after that? Maybe.
Here's even the last 8 games, though, outside of the last 10 games. In the last 8 games, Jason Tatum, 48% from the field, 45% from 3, 6 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 17 points, and 1 turnover. I mean, he's been good. I mean, like, and it was a bad first 10 games. Yeah. And he had that horrible game where, I think it was like, second game of the season? It was the 4th game of the season against Orlando where he had 3 of 12 from the field and only had 7 points. But
he's a good player.
And he's only 20 years old.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's still got 5 years behind Bradley Beal. Like, I would not be trading Jason Tatum, especially on his rookie deal, for Bradley Beal, and even including Robert Williams, even though I don't care that much about that part.
Oh, he's just a throw-in. I mean, you have to make a contract work somehow else, but, like, yeah.
Yeah, those contracts don't work straight up, but it's just, at least the idea of, like, I get Bradley Beal's a great player
it's just,
on a great contract, but I mean...
This year... In the next year, the years you think you have the best chance to win a championship, or are you building long term? Like that's all the question is in my mind.
Well, I think the Celtics have the ability to build long term.
So then
because you have Jason Tatum on that team.
That's
fine.
And
if Kyrie's gone, Gordon Hayward's gone, Jason Tatum I think could be a number 1 on a team. I don't think Bradley Beal has that ability.
He did it last year. John Wall was hurt for the
the Wizards were so great last year.
I'm just saying.
They only made it to the playoffs because John Wall came back.
Yeah, but Bradley Beal was playing fantastic.
But they weren't going anywhere. Devin Booker was playing fantastic last year. But there's a reason why
things we can't take back.
There was a reason why he was 9th in our shooting guard ranking because he wasn't winning. They weren't winning. Yeah. He was on a bad team, but he's a number 1 on a bad team. He's a number 2 on a good team.
Right.
Jason Tatum, I think, at his top potential, can be a number 1 on a good team.
And where is he right now?
He's 20 years old, Dave.
Number 3,
and he just dropped 18 in a playoff series, in a whole playoffs, and he just dropped 18 in the past game.
So
18 in the past 8 games.
On an okay team right now. That's what I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing.
With me, I look at it and I'm going to throw out a different team.
Teams have struggles.
I'm going to throw in.
I just think you're being absolutely ridiculous about this.
I don't think I'm being ridiculous. I just hate people who want to put talent above where they're at because of potential. Potential's an amazing thing. But like, it does not mean that they will hit that point. It does not mean that Jason Tatum will continue to develop and will not encounter any hardships or struggles of his own. It does not mean that he is, guaranteed to be a 26, 4, and 2 player. Like, that doesn't mean that's where he'll be. Like, did anyone know that, Hayward would come back and look like absolute trash this year? A lot of people guessed it because that was a pretty terrible injury. Mm-hmm. But like, do you think he'll ever get back to where he was? Do you think he'll ever be a 25-5 player again? I don't.
No, I don't think
either. So that's the point. And it's also circumstances. If he was on his own team without 5 other probably like 7 quality starters on the Celtics right now, at least 7, like you're just not going to get the same opportunity. So stats can be inflated and deflated. So you have to take it down to like how well they play, and you have to start looking towards advanced metrics because you're not like you're not going to get the true potential of a good player on a team stacked with good players. Like, you look at what happens to Draymond Green's stats as they added more talent. Mm-hmm. His role, like I said, he's a fucking giving tree out there. Like
he's
anything
had to
he can
find
do,
his role in
he
it.
will give away to people because it makes the team better. Could he go out there and play for a different team and put up better stats? 100% yes. Mm-hmm. Stats aren't the be-all, end-all of basketball. Like, the eye test still is the best thing out there that we've got, and like you can't equivocate that into numbers all the time. Mm-hmm. So when I just say that, like, yes, you will be better, you will. It's all the point I'm trying to make is.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I kind of want to throw out there, and this is kind of getting away from the Celtics a little bit,
fine.
Is
they can't even make the deal happen. So I
found one team that could make a John Wall trade work this year.
Oh, great! Let's go back to this.
But I don't know if Sean's gonna like it.
This is Chicago Bulls.
The Bucks.
Oh.
What if the Bucks sit there
For John
and go,
Wall?
I didn't see that coming.
just think about this. Think about it. Most of their contracts, besides you've got Giannis at 24, you've got Bledsoe at 15 mil, and then Chris Midd at 13 before it starts going to like 11, 10, and then even less.
Well, Chris Midd's gone after that. He's a free agent.
What if they look at it and do this? Say, hey, can we beat the Raptors? With the current roster we have, in a 7-game series, can we beat the Raptors?
Yes.
What if they say no, though? What if they think no and flip a deal where they send Eric Bledsoe to the Wizards to get a guy like John Wall to help them? That's one thing that I was looking at.
Bledsoe for Wall?
Bledsoe for Wall, and then you would
fuck no.
picks in there too. I mean, it wouldn't just be them two.
Right now that team is winning. You were not messing with that.
And that's the thing. None of these
11.
deals are going to get done now. It's going to see what's going to happen. But that's another one where I could see if the Bucks think they can't compete with the Raptors in the playoffs. That's a spot I could see John Wall being
How does
at.
John Wall help that team? They're already moving the ball fantastically.
No,
at
He's a
an
worse shooter
unreal
than Eric
pace.
Bledsoe.
I'm just saying, if by the time we get close to the trade deadline, if things change and they think, hey, we can't beat the Raptors now,
I think they
that
can
could be a
struggle,
good spot
but
for him.
I think they can struggle, but I don't know how they help him. I think you're just adding talent for talent's sake.
He would just be a better talent than Eric Bledsoe.
But also, it's a whole different chemistry. Then it's a whole different environment that you're bringing in and changing. It might be adding more talent, but you're also adding more volatility to that team. Right now, that team's working, and right now, again, it's not really
John Wall's a cancer. That's what that meant.
Right now, he's a locker room cancer.
In some ways, yes.
Publicly talked about.
But I'm not saying like John Wall will destroy the Bucks in an instant, but I think it will definitely be harder for the Bucks to win games, especially starting off. And I don't know if it's going to take them from here like a tier 2 team all the way up to a tier 1 team. And right now, I think they're probably on tier 2 with the Toronto Raptors. Like, I don't think that you're going to change that team that much by adding John Wall, because John Wall then has to learn the system. He has to learn in playing in that system. Right now, Bledsoe's doing that. Bledsoe's fitting into the system, and they don't need John Wall to play hero ball. Like, can John Wall hit more game-winning shots and be more clutch down the line than Eric Bledsoe? 100%. But also, Eric Bledsoe's a better defender. He can still move the ball. He's a great passer. He's a big body that can drive to the lane. And he's a good shooter from the outside as well. And John Wall is as well. But I think it's just adding talent. Like, it's adding a name and hoping it does better. It's like when you can buy, name brand milk. Like, you can buy Dean's, or you could buy like the Roundy's like grocery store from Mariano's brand. You're still getting milk.
Yeah.
And the thing you might like, I don't think you're adding anything besides the name.
Not saying they should. I'm just saying, as the season develops, if they start to feel like, hey, we can't compete with the Raptors, could be an option they look to. Not saying they should, not saying they will.
I don't think any team
trade for John Wall.
only way we saw
Bulls do it.
Like, the only way we saw Blake Griffin.
Yes.
The only way we saw Blake Griffin get moved for the Clippers was because Stan Van was like, all right, I'm losing my job. And that was the only way that deal was made. And unless a coach, unless like Thibs is thinking that,
too bad
or a
Thibodeau can't
GM's
make
thinking that
trades.
way.
I mean, Wiggins, Okogie, first rounder, and something else.
Like, that's the only way I think I see something happening, is like if they are that desperate that they need to make a move.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think any sane playoff team is going to be doing that.
That's why I want the Bulls to do it. I told you guys this before we started recording. They can't attract free agents. It's something we've been terrible at historically. We have assets and we have money to spend. Why not take a runner on John Wall? Like, yes, he doesn't fit the timeline exactly, but John Wall, Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr., like, by the end of his contract, or probably the second, third year of his contract, like, we should be a playoff team the second year of his contract. So I'm just saying, like, there's a team.
I wouldn't hate it, but I'm not asking them to do it.
We have assets, and we can't get anybody in free agency, so why wouldn't we take a flyer on him?
I'm still pissed off about this Jason Tatum Bradley Beal thing. So I'm putting up a thing on our Twitter at Most Valuable Pod.
Would you rather have?
No, would you trade Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal?
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, would you trade Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal? That's the right wording. All right.
I'd rather than play together because they're buddies, but, like I said, kick out that Jaylen Brown kid. The no talent scrub.
Pissing me off.
I love him, but, I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
I think that if they could move Brown and another piece to fit contract in, like, I think that would be the best the best fit for both teams because it gets the Wizards back, a young potential star, and it gets the Celtics right back into the thick of things at the top of the East.
I think I'm going to have an aneurysm if we keep talking about this. So let's wrap it up. We got John Wall. Give me a percentage of what he was traded. I said 20-0. I'm more like, after talking to myself, I'm 10-0% chance that he's going to get traded.
I'm going to say 25 to 30% for John Wall.
Approximately 22%.
Okay, I like it. And then Bradley Beal, what do you think is the most likely landing spot that he is going to go, and does he get traded this year?
I'm going to say Boston. I'm going to say Boston's my one where the most likely 80% he gets traded this year. He's the one that goes.
I like the Charlotte one. You guys kind of talked me into that one.
Sean did.
I'm going to say only 40% chance he actually gets traded.
Why that? Why so low?
This has been a bad GM. Like, why do we expect him to make the right moves now?
Because money's calling, and your owner's being like, because I mean, this is the thing. Now you're actually getting up to that John Wall contract. That's but you're also getting up to that John Wall contract where now that's going to push over next year.
Yeah.
And now you have to make all of this work, and I think that's going to be such a struggle where when you start dealing with money and a team that's out winning, it's going to be hard for an owner to justify spending that money. That's why I think a deal is going to happen.
Phoenix Suns, and any interest in like a John Wall? That's one team that we didn't toss out.
One Andy Bailey, who does NBA Hardwood, threw one out on Twitter. I don't know what you guys think about it, but he did throw one out. Purely a money-saving cap sheet, restructuring move for the Wizards. Trevor Ariza's deal is expiring. You get John Wall's contract free and clear. Deal can't happen until December 15th because of Ariza contract, but it's literally just Ariza for John Wall straight up.
Wow. I'm interesting.
And again, like that's what I was saying. Like all the moves for John Wall right now
have no value coming back.
Are just cap moves. Wow. That's all they are, and that's crazy to think about.
Maybe that's what it's going to have to be for the Wizards. Is as long as we get that cap off, we're good. Like they're not going to expect anything in return for it.
Parker for John Wall.
Even then with Phoenix, it's like you already locked down Devin Booker.
Yeah.
You then have John Wall locked down, but also then you have Ayton for 4 years, and then you have Mikal Bridges for 4 years. But you're going to have to work in that window to win. And I don't think that's going to happen.
You've got Devin Booker already putting up 20-plus points a night. You've got Ayton putting up like 18 and 12. Like I don't think it... Look, the West is just crazy, so I don't know that you realistically stand a chance, but they would be in the thick of things.
Yeah, I like Utah a lot for Bradley Beal. I think it's going to happen. I think he's most likely going to be traded. I would say probably 80 to 100%, like I said. Yeah. Probably just cut it in the middle, say at 90. I also would like to see Dallas possibly make a move if they're able to get rid of Wes Matthews' contract, because that's a one-year deal. So they'd be able to get rid of that. The Wizards would be able to get rid of that. They shoot a lot of threes, but are like in the middle of the pack when it comes to actual three-point percentage. If you're able to pair up Dennis Smith Jr., Bradley Beal, and Luka with Harrison Barnes, Dirk, you got DeAndre as well. You even got J.J. Barea.
What a playoff team.
Dorian Finney-Smith as well. I think it'd just be fun, to see, because, again, Bradley Beal's so young that you can still make moves again later down the road to help this team and possibly make the playoffs in a couple of years. And I think with the way Luka's going, he's going to be probably an All-Star next year. And having Bradley Beal, who's already an All-Star, is just going to make it easier. But Hornets would be fun too, because obviously we would love to see Kemba get some love here. But that's going to do it for the Bradley Beal John Wall discussion. Did not expect it to go 53 minutes, but it did. I think it will actually, if we cut the 7 minutes of intro that we had, it will be a little bit around 40. But let us know what you think about John Wall and Bradley Beal. Let us know what you think about Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal. Go to our Twitter at MostValuablePod. Let us know if you think John Wall is going to get moved. Know if you think Bradley Beal is going to get moved. And where do you think they will end up as landing spots.